Alrighty, so we are back, and today we are going to be talking about anniversaries, specifically the overall celebrations, and now that the 10th anniversary has sort of reached I feel like I've been saying this for like a week now, and it is true that like we've reached sort of like the end of the 10th anniversary, right? I think formally it's over on the 18th, but I don't believe that we are going to just be getting like surprise update after surprise update until the 18th, right? We've really kind of seen what they have to offer. No, I don't think we were expecting additional stages to like the red zones and Battle Hard Formidable Foes, and then we have that super long event coming out either tonight or tomorrow night. I forget the exact day on that, but what I want to do is go ahead and put all of the anniversaries in a tier list, and now that we have the clean number of 10. So what I decided to do, you guys can see by the characters here, these are going to be representing each individual anniversary. So we have the 10th anniversary represented by Super Vegito, the 7th anniversary represented by Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, I don't know why I couldn't say that, the 6th anniversary represented by AGL-UI Goku, the 9th anniversary represented by Beast Gohan, the 5th anniversary represented by Blue Gogeta, the 4th by Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the 3rd by Super Gogeta, the 8th represented by the Super Saiyan who the hell is this character? The Buu Duo. Right? Then the 2nd anniversary represented by the TUR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and then obviously the 1st anniversary being STR Super Gogeta. So let me know how you guys would rank these anniversaries. I think doing them 1 to 10 is a bit redundant. I did do a short on it in like that kind of format, but I think that this tier list will make for more fun arguments because I just have a little bit more time to get the point across. So like I said, let me know down below what you guys think, what anniversary is your favorite. Where would you rank them? Do you have any that would go over the 10th anniversary? Let me know in the comment section below. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the 1st anniversary. I guess we'll go in chronological order, right? The 1st anniversary, we have Super Gogeta and Janemba. I think that this EZA was good, but I'm not going to put it at the top of the list. I think that it does hold a special place in a lot of people's hearts. The issue with this, like, I'll be completely honest with you, is I did not play Dokkan back in 2015, 2016. It was a different chapter of my life, if you will. I was not really into mobile games at that point. So it's life works in mysterious ways. How I ended up here, I can't tell you, I don't know, but we are here now and I love it. But I did not have a ton of experience with this specific celebration, but looking back at it, it's pretty decent. But again, I think they were sort of just getting their footing in terms of like how to do an anniversary, and clearly the anniversary power creep of this character was too much with Gogeta. I think that's really sort of the highlight of this 1st anniversary, right? When you talk about how good or bad the celebration is, I think it's really just focused on where you would put like Gogeta in terms of like all-time rankings, right? The sort of lore with Super Saiyan Gogeta, if you guys do not know, I know some of you, probably most of you know this at this point, but he is like the one time in this game's history where it was like, if you did not have this character, you re-rolled, right? You just made a new account because he was that important. And there's a lot of factors that go into that, right? It's not to say that like this character was just, it was more to me like what that screams, in my opinion. Like, obviously, yes, he was that good in the game, but what you have to consider is the tools that you have outside of that character. So if we talk about like 10th anniversary Super Vegito, right? Like, he is the best unit in the game, but it's not to a point where it's like, if you don't have him, you need to make a new account, right? I'd say he's pretty necessary to have in some of this new content in terms of like if you just want to just destroy a boss really fast. But the thing with like Super Vegito is if you don't have him, like there's just a lot of tools at our disposal right now, right? You have the 7th year EZAs, you have the 6th year EZAs still, you have characters like Beast Gohan. If we just kind of look right here, right, we have some of these super EZAs that are extremely well performing, right? 5 other LRs that came out during this anniversary, right? Buhan, Glorio, just all types of crazy characters in the game right now that make it so you don't need to just reroll anymore. That's not really a thing in the modern day of Dokkan. So that is sort of like the defining factor for this anniversary, was the fact that there was a character who created a bit of an unhealthy space where it's like you literally, you have to pull him, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So we're just going to put this one in good. Again, their 1st anniversary, sort of a nostalgic thing, but they are getting their footing for how to do these celebrations, and we will see that with time that they got a lot better at it. So let's go ahead and move on to the 2nd anniversary. Now, you may be thinking I'm going to put this in good, but no, I'm going to put this one in great. Now, one of the factors for this, I talked about this in the short that I did. This celebration actually featured a server crash on global with how hype it was, right? Like, I'm sure a lot of you who were playing at this time remember the night that the banners were live, like summoning and stuff like that. It was like you literally just could not play the game, right? Like you tried to get in, you tried to do your summons, and it was just like not buffering, but like loading, connecting, now connecting, connection error. You just could not get in. And I found that to be really funny. The fact that, you know, the first iteration of Super Saiyan 4 was that exciting in this game, right? I think there's a lot of that to be said about Dokkan in the past age, right? Where it was like, this is the first rendition of Super Gogeta. This is the first rendition of Super Saiyan 4 Goku. This is the first edition of UI Goku, right? So nowadays we just get like the improved quality versions of these characters when, you know, back at this time, this was literally the first time you could ever get these characters in the game. So very cool stuff. I think what was so good about the second anniversary, and this will be after we get to the fourth anniversary, we have to get through the first four, and then I can really start kind of like diving into like what I thought about the content and stuff. But with this anniversary in specific, it was actually very consistent with the amount of new events that it introduced, and it had great headliners being the Super Saiyan 4s. So I think that the content was there, and the overall sort of quality of the characters was there, and then obviously the hype factor was there as well. So this was a great celebration as well. Let's move on to number 3, or the third anniversary, which I'm also going to be putting in great. Now, I did underrate this one a little bit in terms of when I did the short, but these things happen, right? It's hard to rank something that you weren't there for, and unfortunately, I was kind of like loosely around for this. 2018 was like the first time I gave Dokkan a stab, right, or like an attempt, and I didn't know what I was doing, right? I was just having fun with it. I didn't have a very good account, but I think at the time it was either on JP or it was it might have been on JP. Like they were celebrating this at the time, because I remember people were getting like super excited. Like when I would try and figure out how to do stuff, I would look it up on Reddit and stuff, and all the posts were just about like a Super Gogeta and a Super Vegito and all these different like LRs and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is this? But this celebration overall, very good. It introduced the concept of the Dokkan Fest LR, which became the staple of this game moving forward. Not really much to complain about there. So very, very solid anniversary. I think that the introduction of Super Gogeta and Super Vegito fusing, right, the transforming, the condition wasn't very good, I'll say that, but being able to come out into Super Vegito and Super Gogeta, you were just gods, right? Like Vegito was absolutely insane. And 7 years later, we saw a modern version of that, and you guys know how well that was. So I'm going to put this one in great, and that is going to be the same case here for the 4th anniversary Goku and Vegeta, the redo of the Super Saiyan 4's 4th anniversary. It makes perfect sense. It's a match made in heaven. So specifically, what do I want to highlight about the 4th anniversary? I am a big fan of the headliners, right? We all love Super Saiyan 4 in this house. The Part 2 LRs were just okay, right? The GT Trio and Baby. But the content, pretty good, right? I know that they introduced a raid that global players were actually able to assist JP players with at the time. It wasn't like a PvE cooperative experience. Well, it was, but it wasn't like you were like actively helping JP players in terms of like you could go in, find a JP player and help them. It was just like, no, you play the game and you can assist them, right? I'm pretty sure that's how that one worked during a raid. So that was pretty cool. Just introducing new mechanics and stuff like that, having the Dokkan Fest LRs. What's funny about the animations though, like they were clearly like they had these on the back burner for a while, these characters, right? Because the animations are like, oh, that looks exactly like the TUR Majin Vegeta and Super Saiyan 2 Goku that were in the free-to-play shop, right? They were literally the 12 key or the 8. I'm pretty sure it was the 18 key had like the exact same like movement, right? Where like they kind of like move them across the screen and then do a blast. So that was pretty cool, right? But overall, very good celebration. The Super Saiyan 4 is great. The Part 2 LR is great, right? All fun and fun stuff. So that's where I'm going to put this one. Let's move on to the 5th anniversary. Now, unfortunately, I would like to put this one in peak, but I just can't do that. It just, to me, it did not reach that level, unfortunately. So here's what we have to factor in, right? Were the headliners exactly what you want in an anniversary? Absolutely. Transforming Vegito, transforming Gogeta, like you nailed it, right? Part 2 having Broly from Dragon Ball Super Broly, as well as Rose Goku Black, like perfect. They did a great job with the unit choices. The problem was the content in this anniversary, right? A lot of people were not a fan of the content. One of the special gimmicks that they marketed it around was the concept of the LREZA, that being the free-to-play STR Zamasu Goku Black. Like it's Goku Black, but he's still wearing Zamasu's clothes, where he like it's where initially he takes Goku's body, right? So that was the free-to-play LR that they did, and what they decided to do just to kind of hype things up, and this kind of planted a seed for future celebrations to make them even better, but this character EZA'd right away, and they weren't good. And so we had this whole thing where it's like, you know, forget the free-to-play LR, and then EZA him right away, right? So you have an SA-25 character right off the rip, right? It's like, oh my god, amazing, and then you use the character and he stinks. And it's like, so that already kind of messed it up. But the big issue with this anniversary to me, again, was just the content was not good. And it was like, you just played the Goku event, right? And it was just like, okay, like we've seen this before, and thankfully they learned from this. I think every anniversary, so from 6th onward, right, we can kind of just do, I guess we could just do this, right, keep things in order. But from the 6th anniversary onwards, right, there was varying content, there was different things, and it was just tough, right? So this one I'm only putting in great because like if we like got rid of the hype factor, it's like this. But Gogeta, Vegito, right, like they're there, like you can't just ignore that. That's like a really exciting thing for a lot of players, so I'm gonna keep that one in great. Now let's go ahead and move on to the 6th anniversary. Now, with the 6th anniversary, again, this one is like, it's hard to get into Z, right? You guys probably know which ones I'm going to put in Z. But with the 6th anniversary, I am a huge sucker for UI Goku, so you guys knew this one was special to me for sure. And then UI Goku decided to take 2,500 stones to pull my first copy, so that was fun. But, and there was no pity back then. What I really liked about the celebration was the varying stages of the God event, right? It worked very similar to what we see in modern anniversaries, where it's like part 1 is pretty easy, part 2 it's like we're ramping it up, and then part 3 is like, okay, now we have everything at our disposal, let's actually do this. Now, if you guys remember specifically, what stuck out from that anniversary the most to me was the fact that we had, what's it called? It's like the Belmod stage. So specifically with the Belmod stage, this was the Universe 11 God of Destruction. He's the one that looks like the clown. This guy had this was a tough fight. Like if we got a modern version of this boss, there would be so much complaining, right? Where turn 1, I believe he could potentially lock 2 characters and could also seal you. So most of the time you go in there, you would have a character that wants to go into slot 2, get locked at slot 1, he get lit up by the super, you have to reset. And guess what? There was a temp limits on the God event. And then let's double down on that. It was only 3. Let's double down on that again. There was no power level system yet. So that leads you to, or like with no power level system means no power level bonus, which needs no extra attempts per day. So you were hard stuck on 3 tries per day on this stage. And if you were going for the no item, if you got sealed right away, you were just cooked, right? It's like, okay, I guess I lose, right? And UI Goku, when he released, did not have 100% chance to dodge turn 1. So sometimes he would just throw, he wouldn't dodge, you get lit up. And I'm pretty sure Belmod could double super as well, right? Like the initial release of Belmod was one of the hardest bosses in Dokkan history, in my opinion. That was a tough stage. It was very, very tough. Just locking, sealing, just 2 extremely toxic boss mechanics. But again, that's how you make the game difficult. You got to make the bosses toxic, because if they just let us wail on them, let them stack, like characters stack, no debuffs, nothing like that. It's just, most of the time it's pretty easy. So, you know, they had to introduce fun things. I remember specifically as well, there was a stage against the robot God of Destruction. His name was Moscow, right? And what was funny about Moscow was he had an AoE super. So this was pretty like jarring at the time, because we didn't have characters like the fights like against Red Zone Broly or anything like that. More on that in a little bit. But it was like, this guy had an AoE super. So if you were trying to cheese like a strategy with characters that just tank normals, and then like, you know, one common character I remember using at that time, I want to say it was the AGL Super Vegito, right? With his regular EZA, because you'd run him next to STR Super Vegito, the fusing transforming one, and the strategy you'd want to do is kind of like, this was like where the Super Vegito tech was at like its peak, right? What you would do is you would not go into Super Vegito. You would fuse into Super Vegito, you'd find the super, and then you kill Ab, right? Because usually what you'd be doing is you'd have a Tech Caulifla running around on the team off lead, it doesn't even matter, and then you would put her wherever the supers are or where the most attacks are. And that was sort of the way that you cheesed that event, right? I believe coming out of the 6th anniversary, that is also when we had the same name update, but that is not part of the anniversary. So there we go. Again, can speak on the 6th anniversary a little bit more, because I actually experienced it live. I played through the whole thing and was, I think I started covering content right after that time. So let's go ahead and move on to the 7th anniversary. You guys know where this one is going. One of the most hype times for Dokkan, period. My first anniversary covering content for Dokkan. A very nostalgic time, right? The headliners, they nailed it, right? The Part 2 LRs, Saiyan Saga Goku is pretty exciting, and Vegeta are exciting for a lot of people, though. Let's not discredit that. Just I thought that the overall concept was really good. The EZAs, having the 3rd year and 4th year anniversary LRs EZAing, introducing the red zone, which is still used to this day as a bar for hard content, then also doing the Part EX with the Dokkan All-Stars, which I believe gave, was it 300 stones, right? It was a lot, but doing 999 stages of an EZA, I think I had that done after a few days. It was pretty rough, but we got that done. So 7th anniversary, just a lot of fun, a really good celebration, right? This is like, when you want to do an anniversary, this is how you do it, right? And I think that the 10th anniversary also just took a lot of like notes from that anniversary, because like this was so much fun. The hype was so crazy. I remember it very vividly, right? Like this was a very fun time to be playing Dokkan. One issue that I had with the content, though, especially the Red Zone Broly stage, was the 7th anniversary characters, the headliners, were getting shredded by the content, right? And it's not because they were bad, it was just because of the way the content was designed. It was just not for them, right? Like if you had like Broly, the Red Zone Broly stage, that AoE super, it didn't matter, right? Like you had to action break that super. That was the only way to get around it, especially for like these LRs, right? Just because dodge disabling is too much, right? And that's how Red Zone Broly worked. I remember after that, I don't remember if it was in the same year or not, but what they did with that stage specifically is they allowed characters to be able to counter it, right? Like, so Gogeta on release was not able to counter that super, but as time went on, they eventually added in an update where characters were actually able to counter that super. So all of a sudden, Gogeta went from being like a dud in there to like, okay, like he can kind of work, right? But God Goku, God bless him. Maybe I could find him in here. He would be around the 7th anniversary. Where's he at? Where's he at? Not these ones. It was, where are you at? I just want to give you your flowers real quick, my boy. Where are you? 7th anniversary, 7th anniversary, 7th. Yeah, there you are. This guy, he was the GOAT. He had 77% damage reduction against movie bosses and pure Saiyans, and there was a Red Zone movie bosses stage, so that guy absolutely carried, so shout out to him. The GT bosses Red Zone, also a lot of good fun. This guy was able to tear it up the last stage against Omega, so very good anniversary, tons of fun. Let's move on to the next one, which unfortunately, I can't put in peak. The 8th anniversary was great. I really liked the content, however, I am just not a fan of the headliners. That's just, it's not what I want from my Dragon Ball games, and that is okay, right? If you really like them, I completely respect that opinion. It's all good. I think the Buu duo is cool, right? Super Spirit Bomb is great. The GT duo, however, they ended up being the better character. I think that it's just like GT Kid Goku doesn't really do it for me, right? He doesn't move the needle. Same thing with the Part 2 LRs. I've never been like a huge like opening and ending guy. I can appreciate it, right? That it's like has some iconic music and stuff like that, but I just don't think that that theme in specific would be enough for headlining a mobile game anniversary when we're talking about Blue Gogeta, UI Goku, Gogeta 4, Vegito, Beast Gohan, and it's like Dragon Ball Kai opening Goku, and it's like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, openings are cool, right? Like they're great. They're catchy songs. They, like I said, like Shala, Head Shala, stuff like that. Like all these songs, like iconic music from the game, and I get that. But again, just not what I'm looking for in terms of an anniversary headliner. But I did think they did a pretty good job with the content, right? We had the When the Wishes Backfire event. I don't know, I'm kind of like drawing a blank a bit on like what else there was in there. I just know that like the Shadow Dragon event, like the Sin Shenron fight was tough. The one against Nova was tough if you couldn't debuff him. I remember like running like the cooler team in that stage, being able to beat it and stuff like that, but it was pretty cool, right? I did like the content. The EZAs were great. Obviously they EZA'd the 5th year anniversary LRs, and those kind of felt like the true headliners if we're being real. But it was a great time, right? Like I had a good time during that anniversary. It's just, again, I think that the content was poorly designed for the Buu duo being the most exciting of the 4 LRs, I would imagine, to most people. Super Saiyan 3 Goku kind of alone, I think, is just kind of tiering above a lot of these characters. Maybe Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's got him beat, but again, GT Kid Goku, I'm sure I'm not alone in the opinion of like, he's cool, but he's not moving the needle for me. So 8th anniversary, I thought the content was really good. I think if the headliners were better, I would be able to put it in peak, but no, that is not going to be the case. Now, I think what we're going to do for 9th anniversary, this one's easy to me. Beast Gohan is my glorious king. You guys know this. I think the 9th anniversary was very well done, right? This was where they really kind of found their groove in terms of like the Part 1, Part 2, just being like boom, boom, right? Like they really kind of found it, where it's like, typically, I guess something I haven't really been mentioning in this video is the fact that these characters, like a lot of these anniversaries, they're super, like what they used to do in terms of like the characters is like just pound it, right? Like it was like you essentially just wanted to go all in on part 1. Like the part 2 LRs for these guys, just okay, right? The part 2 LRs for these guys, just okay, but they were better, right? Same thing goes for the 8th anniversary, right? These aren't ranked, by the way. The part 2 right here, right? It's like the part 2 LRs, like Kai Goku is pretty damn good, but like same thing with here, right? Like 9th anniversary, because of the Dokkan Fest X Carnival format change that they did, they really found their groove, right? In terms of how to do part 1 and part 2, where if you were on JP, you probably went all in for Broly and Gogeta, and then maybe started saving towards the tail end for part 2. And that's kind of like and then you just find out it's like, oh, here's Beast Gohan. It's like, oh wow, Beast Gohan, like we've been wanting him. And then it's like, here's his kit, and we're like, oh, we messed up, guys. Like, this is the best character in the game by a country mile, and I don't have any stones because I went all in on part 1, like, oh, you know, I've been doing for the last 8 years. So the 9th anniversary, I think they did a really good job with the varying content, the anniversary headliners being absolutely crazy, right? The 6 years getting their EZA, which is extremely hype as well. Just a lot of really good things to say about this anniversary. Again, I really like how they handled the part 1 into part 2 transition, where it's like, so just an idea of like how crazy, like how new this was. Global foresight existed for this anniversary, right? I'm talking mostly of my perspective is coming from that of a JP player, because that's the version that I main. And because global, like, you know, I'm around, I was covering the game, right? We had a little bit of an audience when the 9th anniversary started, and then, you know, things happened, but right, the 9th anniversary, a lot of people in the comments section and when I was streaming and stuff, like they kind of were like, I don't want to summon on part 1, or it's like, yeah, like the whole idea was like, listen, part 1 is great, but you need to save for Beast Gohan. That was the whole sort of mantra. And what did the global team do? They did something. They gave us an offer that we could not refuse, and that was the summon format for part 1. Where they were like, and because this was so, and I'm 100% like, you can't convince me otherwise. This 100% was done because they knew people were trying to save for part 2, and they didn't want to spend their stones on the part 1 characters. So what they did was they updated the summon format, and they didn't bring this back for part 2. So what you would do is you would get discounted steps at the start. It would be a 7-step format, and the 7-step every single time was a guaranteed feature that didn't go away. And that is crazy broken, right? Guaranteed featured multis are like as generous as it gets for this game, right? We'll talk about something a lot more generous here in a minute, but it was like like guaranteed featured for part 1, like you just really can't turn that down because of just like the value of these anniversary banners. So the best banners in the game being the anniversary banners, you had incentive to just summon on them, and it worked, right? People were summoning for Gogeta, they were summoning for Broly because of that format, and then they didn't bring that back for part 2 because they knew people were going to summon for Beast Gohan no matter what, and they tried to work their way around. So, you know, 9th anniversary, very good content, very consistent LRs. Every single one of them were good. The Gammas were the worst of the 4, and the Gammas were very good. So, 9th anniversary, I really liked. Let's talk about the last one, and I think it would make the most sense to do this. Let's add a row above, and we will make this one Z+. Sorry if you can hear my keyboard. All right. The greatest of all time, the 10th anniversary. To me, it's not even close. The 10th anniversary is by far the best celebration they've done, and it's not for the same reasons as the others, right? And I'm sure a lot of you can figure this out, right? So like, what does the 10th anniversary check in terms of the boxes? It had hype headliners, check. Good content, check. Lots of content, check. Lots of stones, check. Easy A's, check. Super easy A's, check, right? So everything that you're looking for, right? Well, we'll talk about the bonuses here in a second. So like all of those things that you're looking for in a major celebration, they've got it. And then we move over and we start talking about some of these bonuses. We have the Training in the Clouds event, the greatest link leveling event of all time. Like a lot of players have been able to increase their power level a whole lot, and that's going to help you get to the power level bonuses, or if you're someone chasing a super high one, you know, you probably went up a couple 100,000 during the celebration, which is really good. So we have that, right? We've got the most generous thing I've ever seen a gacha game do ever. And again, I don't play many gacha games, but like I talk to friends that play a lot of gacha games, and it is never as easy as they just hand you a headliner for free. And that is what they did. They said, do your Purunga wish. Here's a free Vegito. Here's a free Gogeta. Here's a free Goku Frieza. Here's a free Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Here's a free Gohan, right? Whichever character you're missing, here you go. If you have all of them and you want an older LR, here you go, right? I have never seen, and it's so ironic because Dokkan felt like it was so stingy for the longest time, and it really was, but slowly but surely we kind of got to where we wanted to be, right? The introduction of the pity system on the yellow coin LRs, and then it kind of found its way into the Dokkan Fest during the Worldwide Download Celebration last year, and then we went full on just like, okay, we gave you 6 LRs during this anniversary, you can have 1, right? Which is just absolutely crazy, and it's for minimal work too. The Purunga wishes were not hard, so it just can't, I don't know. To me, it's like, unless the only way, in my opinion, that the 11th anniversary has a chance is if they do the Purunga wish again, and I don't think they're going to do that. I doubt it. I would be very surprised if they bring that back. I think this was a special thing for the 10th anniversary, and they probably don't do that again. But varying content, there is 2 separate meta ladders right now, in my opinion, in terms of how we rank characters. So they've done a phenomenal job with this 10th anniversary, and I would be lying to you if I didn't think that it was absolutely the best. So let me know down below what you guys think. Do you agree with my list? How would you change it? All of that fun stuff in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. If you did make it up to this point, go ahead and leave an orange heart. You guys know the drill. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you were new, and I'll see you all in the next one.